we can kind of talk light stuff. How's everything in St. Mary's County?
Me. Oh, I'm St. Mary's County is good. I live in Calvert County and I work in Charles County, so I'm just all over Southern Maryland.
Oh, okay. So you're not in St. Mary's. Okay.
No, my husband just works there.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, things are busy. Academy season is open, and we're trying to get the word out. It's nice to meet you, Mr.
Thank
You
you.
too.
No, it's good to meet everybody. And this is Mr. Walter Pearson. Uh,
Yes.
he's out of Howard County.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, Mr. Flowers. I'm sure you know Diotha Sweat and
Yes.
AJ Hall. So they're on our Academy selection board.
Yeah.
So they're part of the team that helps Congressman Hoyer nominate the best candidates, put the best candidates forward. So we've really been trying to make a push to get more diversity in our nominees because it's kind of starts with us. We have to nominate a diverse crop of students in order for the academies to pull from. So
Right.
we're
And
trying.
yeah, and you have two veterans. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear they're involved. That's
Yes.
that's a big deal.
They're really good.
So, how's the weather down there on the in the southern Maryland?
It's a little chilly, windy. A little
Oh
bit chilly
man,
and windy today. How's it going for you, Mr. Pearson? What's it feel like there?
It's cold.
it's
Yeah.
kind of cold.
It's,
For
I have
April,
I have a blanket on. You can't see, but I'm cold.
It's not as cold as it was 2 days ago. So
for April, it is cold.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I think we're turning the corner. I see the green of spring, and that's the sign for me. So I'm looking forward to warmer weather
Yes. Absolutely.
completely.
So are we live?
We are live, so we can catch the curve, but we can start at 1 o'clock just to make sure that everybody who's listening in and follow the 1 o'clock hour will get the complete show. Um, so both of you know this is kind of our pilot transition. We've been saying that for the last few weeks, but it's kind of picking up. People are actually watching it,
Mhm.
and we are trying to build it so that we can really do work to showcase the branches that we have in the state. And we have 25 of them who are doing the work, and the leaders and the programs like yours that help people. And that's all we're trying to do.
Okay.
Um,
Love it.
and in this conversation about student loan debt it impacts everybody. So if you have a loan or not, you might happen to marry somebody with a load of loans. So it
True.
affects us. It affects us all.
Mm.
So people make decisions around loans. They make job decisions around loans, and so but it's good that the conversation is happening. I wish they would have done that conversation 30 years ago, uh,
Hmm.
when I was trying to run around burning my loans off. It didn't happen. But I'm not going to hate on the people who benefit from this. But
Yeah.
this is is I think is a larger. It should be a consideration about the many options that are there and available that people may or may not know about. So programs like the ones that you're both working on are important on the front end, and that way you don't have to worry about student loans.
Hmm.
So that's what we are hoping to have add to the conversation. And I'm all in for if it's possible to have student loan debt eliminated. I'm for it, but I just I've seen what the mean conservatives do, and it's mean. They stick to their guns. They say Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line, and they have fallen in line with disrupting anything that's good for people. So I
Frustrating.
want to magnify the options that people have.
When you look at what college used to cost when they were going to school, it may as well have been free compared to what it costs today
That's right.
in general. But
Then you got other expenses. Real estate is high.
yeah, everything's so high. You can't just say get a loan, go to your parents. It's just very tone deaf.
So, and everybody took a hit in 2008. So we're counting down here. Let's get ready. Everybody put your studio voice on. You know, they say I have a face for radio. Let's get ready. We're going to be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How you doing? Welcome on board, everybody. This is Willie Flowers with the Maryland State Conference. How goes the hour? Our show at 1 o'clock on 4 o'clock. We're talking about all of the issues in the state of Maryland affecting all of our branches. We've got 25 branches. We want to showcase them. We want to showcase the programs that are relevant in the branches, the programs that affect anybody in the state of Maryland pretty much. But we do want to highlight issues, matters of concern relevant to the livelihood of people in the state of Maryland. I guess this is kind of my monologue, so we can start at the international level and talk about the challenges that are going on in Ukraine and other issues in the world. And then we can come to the nation and talk about this student loan debt thing, and we can come back to that. And in the state of Maryland, it's always busy in the state of Maryland. And so you can choose your issue. You can choose whatever you want to amplify. But again, what we try to do here is to look at solutions. So this week in the city of Baltimore, people are having this opinion or that opinion about the release of the movie documentary. It's a series called We Own This City. And if you haven't seen it, Justin Fenton wrote the book a couple of years ago, but the series is out on HBO Plus. There are various opinions about it, but the reality is we're faced with the fact that the story amplifies what has happened in the last 30 years in Baltimore City, whether we're talking about the tough on crime, whatever zero tolerance period during the O'Malley administration when he was mayor that catapulted him to become governor. But his time ran out because by the time he was running for president, the Black Lives Matter called him on all those issues, and we see what happened after that. But the book and the series really highlight the challenges of Baltimore City, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity in the future to talk more in detail about that with leaders there. But for now, we're going to be talking about student loan debt. There's a national push, and that was a national piece I was talking about. I think President Biden released his policy initiatives this year with the intention of talking about the elimination of student loan debt. There's many reasons for this. I myself fell out of college with student loans. I worked and burned them off over a series of years like everybody else, but I'm going to continue to say I wish they would have come up with this idea 20 years ago, but they didn't. But I am certainly behind any opportunity for young people to have options of how not just to have their student loans burned off or eliminated, but also how to mitigate having a student loan in the first place. There are many ways to do it, and we must be responsible and intentional about how we do it. But what we have here today, I'm going to introduce two people doing the work on the front end to work toward mitigating school debt with programs and policies that help along with that. Some that are, I won't say they're hidden, they're hard to research, but some are in plain sight. So I'm going to introduce two leaders doing this work, and I'm going to let them do their thing, celebrate their programs. But I also want to start off by saying it's spring. I don't know, I don't want to dismiss anybody who has seasonal disorders, but I'm coming to the conclusion that I have one because every time I see the sun come out and I see green, the color of of spring, I get excited. I don't get that excitement in the wintertime. So I don't want to dismiss anybody who really has seasonal disorders, invisible disabilities, and we'll talk about that later. But I came to the conclusion that when I saw that green stuff, I was feeling better, and I'm ready to run. I'm ready to do whatever comes my way in the warmth of the spring, as opposed to the cold of winter. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about the two guests we have. We have Stephanie Carey Barone, who's with Senator Hoyer's office in Southern Maryland. She oversees the Service Academy appointment process. I'll let her introduce that more in detail, but she has just overseen a workshop last night in Charles County that basically gives families the details about how to prepare for a service academy appointment. And these service academy appointments, and she'll get into it more, but in the state of Maryland, everybody knows about the Naval Academy. We know about West Point. We know about the Citadel. We know about the Air Force Academy, but we don't talk much about the Coast Guard Academy, and there are others. So she's going to go into those details. And we also have Mr. Walter Pearson, who is with College Bound Parenting Village. Is that correct?
Yes, College Bound Parenting.
College Bound Parenting. And he is going to get into the details of what he does for families so that they can be prepared for the next step with college. And that means being resourceful about how families can apply, appeal, prepare for all of the scholarships, all of the foundation outlets, so that families don't have the debt when after year 4 or after year 6 or after year 8. And that's what it's all about, because if you can mitigate having these loans in the first place, that's a good thing. So we're going to get it started. We're going to let Stephanie introduce herself, ladies first, and you have the floor.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Stephanie Carey Barone. I work for Congressman Steny Hoyer out of his Southern Region District office in White Plains, Maryland, but I also oversee the general operations for the district as his deputy district director. One of the great honors that I have in this role is to be able to oversee the congressional nominations to the U.S. Service Academies. This is an opportunity that we have been trying very hard to get the word out, particularly with getting a more diverse nomination pool of students. And so I'm super happy to be here to be able to discuss this. And as he mentioned, there are several military academies. There is the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, the Military Academy, which people also know as West Point, the Merchant Marine Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. All of those academies, it is a higher education institution. So it's 4 years of college. You graduate as a commissioned officer in the military. It is tuition free, and I know that's the theme that we're going for. It's a tuition free education. However, it does come with 5 years of obligated military service. So for those young men and women that are interested in serving our country in the military, I would say this is the way to go. This is how you should at least try to do it, because not only will you be a commissioned officer upon graduation, you're going to have a higher rate of pay going into the military. And when you get out of the military after 5 years, you're going to have a whole network behind you. You're going to be employment ready to go. And just to go into a little bit further, and Mr. Flowers, whenever you need to cut me off, just let me know, because I can
go ahead.
But with these service academies, there is a bit of a process, and I think that's what's kind of scared people off in the past. The application process is a bit complicated. So not only do you have to apply to the military academy, you also have to get a nomination. So the nomination can come from your member of Congress. It can come from the vice president. It can come from the president if you have a parent who had been active duty. So there's different processes in play. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is just to get out there and make sure people understand, how do you get that congressional nomination? How do you get your profile together so that everything's ready to go your senior year of high school. And so just to get into it a little bit deeper, there are 4 academies that do require that congressional nomination. One of them, however, does not. The Coast Guard Academy, they do direct admissions. You will apply directly to the Coast Guard. It works the same way, though. You have to compete for an appointment, and you have that 4 years of college. You graduate as an officer. The other caveat, the Merchant Marine Academy. The Merchant Marine Academy is a little different because it's under the Department of Transportation. So when you go to the Merchant Marine Academy, you select which branch of service you want to go into. So let's say you really wanted to go to the Naval Academy and it just didn't work out for you. And you try to go to the Merchant Marine Academy. You can still go into the Navy if you go to the Merchant Marine Academy. There is a bit of a tuition cost associated with the Merchant Marine Academy. But I will say that when Forbes had done a study, Merchant Marine Academy, it wasn't last year, but it was recent. Merchant Marine Academy, those graduates, when they enter the workforce, are top earners, absolute top earners. And this is of all of the Ivy League schools, all of the schools. So if you go to the Merchant Marine Academy, these are the folks that are ensuring safe passage of all of our goods around the world. So this is a vital service, and these guys and girls get paid a lot of money. So it's definitely a path where you will be set for life if you pursue a path like this. And so I don't want to talk too long.
Well, I do have a question because there is when you say that a letter is required or for the nomination, that cuts off a lot of people. And that's kind of my interest in letting people know that process. Like, what is step 1 for a family who is interested in this? Because it sounds like a old boys network. No offense.
No, you're right. You're right.
And so we want to break that so that more people can have the option. I'm not, I see the value of the U.S. military and all of that. But if it's the case that people don't know the first step, there's no way that they can participate at that level. So people might not participate at all. So what is the first step? Is it that you just call your congressman and say, I'm here and I'm interested, and it goes from there?
Honestly, I would say the first step is just to reach out to the academies and feel them out, and look at, each academy and each branch of service, they have different specializations. So if you wanted to be a doctor versus a pilot, you may want to look at a different branch of service and therefore a different academy. So I think that's probably the best place to start, is to look at the different academies. And it's kind of like 2 trains running at the same time when it comes to the application. You have your application with the academy, getting all of your grades and transcripts and test scores, getting all of that stuff into them, just like any other traditional college. And then a little bit later on, you will have that congressional nomination. So you would want to apply to the academy. And then when it gets to be around the end of your junior year, that's when you want to think about us, getting your letters of recommendation together, thinking about your essays. There's a whole packet that we require separately from the academy. So they would want to apply to the academy. And then at the end of their junior year, that's when they want to start thinking about us and getting that packet together for us. And when I say us, I mean your member of Congress and your 2 senators. So anybody that's interested in receiving a nomination, you have different avenues available to you. You have your member on the House side, which in Maryland District 5 is the majority leader, Congressman Steny Hoyer. And then you also have on the Senate side, you have Senator Ben Cardin and Senator Van Hollen. They each have their own nomination. So you would want to apply to all of them, because you may not do so well with our board, but you may do really well with Senator Cardin's office. So you want to apply to all the nomination sources available to you. And that would, like I said, would be towards the end of your junior year. At the beginning of your senior year, you would turn everything in to your members of Congress, and we would each schedule you for an interview. So that would be 3 separate interviews if you apply to all 3 of us. And then usually around the winter break, that's when you find out if you got that nomination or not. And again, this is two separate processes going on at the same time. For instance, on the academy side, you have to pass a whole fitness evaluation. So it's kind of a lot to monitor, but this is, I think they averaged it about $400,000 value of your education. So, I think this is absolutely worth pursuing. And just to add in, we need to make sure that our officers represent and look like our enlisted members. And there has been a push by Congress to make sure that the officers are reflecting the enlisted corps. So if I'm going to be candid, if you have all of your officers that are traditionally white and male, we want to work to change that so that those officers are people of color, are women. And that starts with us, making sure we're nominating men and women, people of color, so that our officers can reflect our enlisted.
Okay, so what would disqualify? Is it completely subjective, or is there a baseline for the application? How does that work?
Yes, that's a great question. So not every single member of Congress, but I would say most of them will have a selection board. The selection board, they conduct those interviews and they meet with the students. So all of those packets that the students work so hard to get together, they are very carefully reviewed and screened. We are, of course, looking at GPAs and SATs, yes, but we're also looking at, does this person have grit? Does this person have the resiliency that they need to lead others in times of great challenge, in times of combat? And that's the stuff that you usually get through that interview. And as we had kind of talked about before, we try to make sure that our selection board is diverse as well. So we have two chapter NAACP presidents on our board. We have academy graduates. We have a very well, diverse selection board so that Congressman Hoyer can be sure he's putting forward the best candidates.
Right, and I'll say you hit a home run with the two one former branch president and one current branch president, and Dr. Sweat, who's president in Charles County, and William B.J. Hall, who's in St. Mary's County. He is a West Point graduate, and she retired from the Navy. So I think you have good people. I won't say that the military made them good people, but they're good people. And you did a good job in that selection. Now you're saying that everybody may or may not have a board, as you call it. Is that correct? A selection committee?
Yeah, I believe Senator Van Hollen and Senator Cardin, they both have a board, but I don't know if that's the case for every single member across the nation. But I know in Maryland, it's just such a popular opportunity, and particularly the Naval Academy, that we found that in fairness to everyone, and just to make sure Congressman Hoyer is putting forth the best prop, it would be best just to have a board comprised of people that could best advise him on this.
Maybe that's something to advocate for, to make sure everybody has a board that's trying to make the process good for everybody who's interested. So that's something to take a note on.
Can I ask a question, Willie, as well?
Yes.
I know you talked about the GPA and SAT, and I don't want to kind of gloss over that because that is a requirement. With the state of COVID the last 2 years, a lot of colleges had kind of, not say done away, but have become test optional. Did the academies do that, or are they doing that now?
Yes. So in 2020 and 2021, our office and the senators' offices did not require the standardized test scores. We didn't believe that it was fair because there seemed to be like an inequitable access to the test. So we did not require it. We leaned even more heavily on our board these last couple of years to really help us, since we no longer. And I think sometimes the GPA and the test scores can be used as a crutch. We so easily will just use it as a way to
Disqualified.
weed people out. And so if anything, I think that's been a silver lining in this a bit, because if our board members really had to get into the nitty gritty of getting to know each student and trying to look at some more of those characteristics. I think John McCain famously was at the bottom of his class at the military academy. And, the academics, yes, you have to have the academics, but having that grit, having that, that ability to push through a difficult situation, those are qualities that you're not necessarily going to get from a standardized test score. That being said, the academies still were looking at them. We didn't require them. We didn't think it was fair. We still encouraged the student to take them because the academy is still looking for it. We understand these students are also going to be applying to all the other colleges as well, and they're looking at them as well.
So I guess a follow-up question to that is, I've heard stories about the prep school program. I guess there's a process that I guess you don't make it the first time to be nominated or to enter, to be enrolled. For whatever reason, there's a prep school format that allows students to, I guess, get their weight up, and then they can go into the academy.
Yes, there is a prep school. All of the academies do have their prep options. The Naval Academy in particular, they have they call it NAAPS. It's the Naval Academy Preparatory School. And they also have the Foundation Scholarship. So they could either send you to their prep school where you live as a candidate, or as you live as one of their students for the year, and you work on, getting your academics where a little bit more where they need to be, or they could send you to one of their prep school partners across the country, and that's through a scholarship program. And the neat thing about those is that once you get offered a prep school spot, it's the chances of you actually getting that appointment are much, much higher. So it's kind of getting like into the weeds a little bit. So once you receive a nomination, Congressman Hoyer, Senator Cardin, Van Hollen, they nominate their 10 top candidates. They go to their board, they say, who are the 10 top? We submit those to the academies, and the academies are only required to take one. However, Maryland students tend to we have a really good education system here, and the academies really like Maryland students. So for instance, last year, we nominated 10 students to the Naval Academy, and 7 of them got in. We're only guaranteed 1, but we got 7 into the academy just because Maryland students, the Maryland public education system is really good. So with the prep school option, you kind of bypass that a little bit. You have the Secretary of the Navy nomination open to you. So if you finish that year of prep successfully, it's a very, very high possibility that you're going to be able to get that appointment.
So
Is that prep school after you graduate from high school?
Yes.
Okay. And are you receiving any college credit during that year, or just?
You have to start as a freshman. So you start year 1 at the academy still.
So
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not like a community college. It's a add-on to high school prep, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I mean, they don't have to pay for it, right?
No. And I think I think for some students, that's the best thing that can ever happen to them, because going from, I guess, civilian life to the really rigorous regimented life at the academies, it's such a great transition year to get accustomed to that. And they can really hit the ground running when they do go to the academy. They've already had that year of transition.
But you're not guaranteed to get in the academy if you go to the prep school, right?
I cannot say you're 100% guaranteed. However, if you finish the year of prep successfully, you work hard, you pass all your classes, all of that, the nomination is a 1 out of 10 chance, technically. Mm-hmm. If you go to the prep school, it's a 75% success rate. So it's a much higher success rate. You have to do bad in your classes. There's something has to happen there for you not to get the appointment if you were offered prep. something happened along the way.
But the classes that you take during your prep school, and say you don't go to the academy, those classes are not college credit that can transfer to somewhere else.
No,
Okay.
I guess it's like remedial
it is.
college, because
And
you don't
well,
get credit for remedial classes in college, do you?
well, I mean, I did. I went to community college and then I transferred to University of Maryland. I'm terrible at math. And I took remedial courses at the College of Southern Maryland for math until I could actually get to that college level math. And then I did okay. And so this is a little bit of that. But the students that go for this opportunity, their level of coursework is really high. It's higher than your average high school student. And so for some students that didn't find out about this opportunity until maybe their junior year of high school, now they have to play a little bit of catch up versus the students that started this ninth grade and they already knew the curriculum they had to take so that by their senior year they would be there. So this is also a gap measure for some of those students that really have that potential but need to get up to that level of math or science to be able to just go into the academy and be able to take all the coursework.
Yeah, that's the way you make it sexy. It's a gap year, but you get
Yeah.
a free.
I think that's a great segue to me, to what we do.
Exactly. I'm sorry, you took my thunder. So we're going to segue to
Go ahead.
College Bound. So the transition to talking about College Bound is consistent with what we're explaining. These are all options about how students can stay engaged, and if in some cases it's just a case that they don't have the confidence. And we know this thing about boys, the frontal lobe doesn't develop until later anyway. So we have this option with the Service Academies about a transition, and here's Walter Pearson, who's going to put the icing on the cake.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Willie, for having me, and Stephanie. Thank you for sharing that information about the academies and the process. At College About Parenting, what we do is we prepare students and families so that they can be, I should say, ready to compete for programs like the academies. And so one of the things that you said that resonated with me is that if you knew ahead of time what the requirements are, say by your 8th, 9th grade, and you know the level of math that you need to be at in order to compete for those type of opportunities, then you are ahead of the game. And so what we do at College About Parenting, we like to start, we provide families and students with college planning coaching. It's an online coaching platform where we start as early as middle school, coaching families on how to prepare their child for college. And so we always start with the end in mind, right? And so if we have an eighth grade parent and the parent has aspirations for their child to go to the academy, right? We're going to kind of help them understand what the requirements are so they can kind of work their way backwards, and begin to make informed decisions about how to prepare their child for, in your example, math, right? So if we know that, you need to be at, AP calculus in order to really compete for an academy, then that decision has to kind of be made almost in middle school. So you're on track to be a calculus by the time you are a senior. And so what we do is we meet with families every Sunday. We meet with our seniors the first Sunday of the month, our juniors the second Sunday of the month, our freshmen, sophomores the third Sunday of the month, and our middle schoolers families the fourth Sunday of the month. And every month they are being coached on how to prepare their child for college, as well as scholarships. Our families receive grade level coaching from expert educational consultants who former missions directors, independent college planning coaches, former high school counselors. And so they're getting expert coaching in a group format. We also have to provide our families with a scholarship coaching. We know that in order for children to make college more affordable, there are a lot of families that have to rely either on loans or or scholarships. And so we prefer that they rely on scholarships. And so by preparing our students to compete for scholars programs and scholarships, and then providing them with the discipline and the strategy on how to find and apply and manage the scholarship process, our families are able to apply, our students are able to apply for over 100 scholarships by the time that they are a senior. And so that's kind of that's our motto. I mean, it's very kind of straightforward in the sense that have your goal, right, of going to college and graduating with the least amount of debt or debt free. And as Willie said, being very intentional about that. So a lot of parents are intentional about helping their kids go to college, but we coach them how to be intentional about graduating from college debt free. And so one of the things that we do, we bring in college admissions reps, or we'll bring in students who have graduated debt free and teach those families those strategies so they can make more informed decisions along the way and not wait until their junior or senior year where it's kind of really too late if you really want to go to select a school, but yet you don't have the GPA or the SAT score or the profile, the extracurricular activities and the community services and we have to have a very competitive and winning essay. We prepare them very, very early for that. So in helping them understand the entire process as early as possible, so they can make more informed decisions as for what we call finding the best fit in affordable college for our families. We have a platform, we have a mobile app that our families use to come together as well. To kind of build also kind of a support in a village for all of our families, so they can interact with one another. They can learn from one another. Our students can work together toward their end goal of graduating debt free. Our kids meet, and they talk about scholarships that they're applying for, scholarships that they have received, and then all that information is kind of shared and kind of passed down to the next cohort of families. So yeah.
Now, can you tell us, because it sounds very involved, it sounds very organized, but very involved. I guess all of this is, and it kind of explains everything that you both have explained, why some people fall through the cracks and don't have these opportunities. So can you explain how you came up with this idea?
Sure. So I came up with the idea because when I was in high school, I had a high school counselor that I was fortunate enough that she was very intentional helping me get to college. But she had so many students, and a lot of my peers didn't have that same opportunity to work with her. And so college counselors are just busy. They have a lot of other responsibilities. It's not just about preparing their kids for school. They're dealing with social issues, emotional issues. They're dealing with the administration. And so the college counseling role, the high school counseling role, has completely changed since I was in high school. And so that was kind of the first reason why I thought this was going to be a great program. But also when I was preparing my own daughter and my own children for college, I saw that there was a huge gap in parent engagement. And me being a college success coach, I know and being armed with the information that I have, I could be very intentional about my children. So, but everyone doesn't have my knowledge, right? I mean, all of my kids are either are in college, or two of my kids are in college, and they're on a debt-free track. But I was very intentional about that. Right. And so there is a way. And so my deal was just making sure to share these strategies and get this information out to parents early, because that is really the key, is getting the information out to our parents early. And yes, it is very cumbersome. There's a lot of things you have to do. But so we built a system that helps you stay organized. that informs you early and then coaches you step by step so that you can make those informed decisions and accomplish those goals.
Okay, so so what's the first step with you? I guess I asked the same questions. How does somebody contact you, and how does that process start?
You start by just going to collegeaboutparenting.com, and you can join for free just to get on the platform and into the community, and then you can decide if you want to have the ongoing coaching, and then you pay a small fee, and you can have access to our online coaching platform.
But the fee is an investment, right? So if we're paying,
The fee is an investment, and that's and as a parent, that's what we do. And it's the one. It's one of the things that that obviously that we do. We invest in our in our children. So it's parents invest in in their in all the sports that their kids are playing. That 99% of them won't go play in college. They invest in
we're going to the NFL. Forget college.
Right. And yes, so it is an investment, but it's the average cost of college is, let's just say, it's $20,000 a year over 4 years, $80,000. This investment is $1,000 a year.
So you're saying $1,000 a year for 3 years?
Depending on when you start, we encourage our families to start in between 7th and 8th grade. 8th grade is kind of like really where we want to make sure that that we catch them. But early as 6th grade, it is even more important if you're talking about want to compete for these programs where you have to have a high level of math, because that math decision is can really be it kind of starts in middle school. You have to kind of be on track, because math is math works on top of each other. So you have to start early, making sure that your child is in the highest level of math in middle school, so that they can be at calculus by the time they graduate.
So essentially, if you're investing, I guess you're saying like $7,000 in starting in middle school, or something like that, the first scholarship you get has paid for that investment.
I mean, you can look at it. You can look at it that way. I like to look at it from the standpoint of college is one of the biggest investments you're going to make. Other than maybe your home, and you wouldn't leave that decision up to a 17-year-old, right? to make and so by investing in that process now, in early, you'll prepare your child for opportunities to maybe cut that cost in half by scholarships. Right now, our first cohort of students will graduate next year, because we started this in 2015. And out of those 20 students, their average collective debt will be under $15,000 total. So that means we have kids that are graduating completely debt-free. We have some kids that are actually coming out with $20,000, $30,000 in their bank account, because they have scholarships, they have refunds, they've interned, they saved their money. We taught them how to taught them financial literacy, and they made smart decisions along the way with their money, and so they're coming out ahead. And so that's what parents ultimately want. You want your child to come out of college not only not in debt, but even with some savings, from scholarships, and from making, and from saving from their internships or their summer jobs and things of that nature.
So you're telling me that I left college with more than them, and after I put in interest fees over them years and I took it, your 20 students had less than I did, and you should have been around when I was going to college.
Well, I guess, we, like I said, once again, we were very, very intentional about that goal of graduate. The program was designed for them to graduate debt free. So we put a lot of time in research and programming, and what we need to make that happen. So, our kids get financial literacy coaching. Our kids get how to invest their money. They how to find an internship, while they're in school. But the biggest thing that they get is that we teach them the discipline of searching and applying for scholarships. We obviously are coaching them on academic excellence and building your portfolio and SAT score, and all of the things, all the boxes that you have to check. But it's more about the discipline of of of, of finding and applying for scholarships. Our kids once again apply for over 100 scholarships, but they do that research from day one. So by the time you are a senior, you would already, our kids would already have researched 100 scholarships already on their spreadsheet. They already have written, 5 or 10 essays. And so by the time they're a senior, they can just kind of copy and paste and submit. Where most seniors are, during their senior year when they have prom and they have, finals and they have, jobs and they have, AP classes. Now, and now you want to throw on finding scholarships for them. It's just, it's a lot. And so, but in our model, we also coach. This is a group. This is a team effort. It's a partnership between mom and dad and son and daughter. So our parents are actually doing a lot of this work as well, right? So our parents are helping the kids find scholarships. Our parents are helping the kids, with their, searching for, the best scholars programs or programs at a college. And so, that's why it's called college bound parenting. We just don't focus on and rely on the student. We also empower the parents so that together they can accomplish these goals. Because if you have a child, and I have several students, I have one student that is in the academy. We didn't prepare for the academy, but we worked with him since the 8th grade. But his father was military. So his father had that goal. And so his father was very engaged, very intentional about preparing his son for the academies. And if you're doing this by a student, so a student can't do this on their own. Because if you're a student and you want to go to the academy and you do this on your own, you're competing against another student who's highly qualified and their parent who's also engaged in the process with them. And so that's why the parenting aspect, like, to me, is the most important part of what we do. We just do not work with students. All of our programming, the parent has to be involved. But that's the value of the success, because we inform and we educate our parents early about the process. So now they're empowered. So now I know what's ahead of me. I'm an 8th grade parent, right? I have aspirations for my child to go to college. Even if my child doesn't at this point, at least I do. So let me start preparing myself and educating myself on this process. And then we start with the end in mind. So for me, my daughter was in 8th grade. I said, Savannah, I want you to go to Harvard University. So I'm going to prepare you for the Ivies, for the classes that you take. I'm going to encourage you to participate in, into some scholars programs, and, making sure you are doing community service with organizations that's going to really help you build your profile. I'm going to encourage you to be in a program in high school that really challenges you academically. You do your part. I will do my part, helping you find the scholarships, helping you, making sure we find the best school that's right for you. And right now, she's that one student that's graduating with $30,000. I don't want to tell her business, but she's going to graduate. She's going to be okay.
That's good. That's good stuff. So how do you get the word out? I mean, both of you. I know that in the past, I don't know how it happens now, but there would be college fairs, different programs. How are we doing this now with the reality of COVID and this type of thing?
Mr. Gibson, you can go ahead.
I think things like this, partnering with the NAACP and partnering with organizations like Mosby Juniors, where there are already a community of parents and students working together, right?
Captive audience.
Yeah. The PTA organizations at school, and then word of mouth. We'll do some digital marketing, advertising, kind of the normal ways, of getting the word out there as we continue to grow.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Mr. Pearson has said, I've actually been attending a few college fairs in person over the past year. Obviously, in 2020, everything was virtual, but last year I was at the Charles County College Fair. I've done the Southern Maryland College Fair, and tonight, actually, we are having our Service Academy and ROTC showcase. It's this evening at St. Charles High School from 5:30 to 7:30. Congressman Hoyer will be there. The academies will be there, as well as college ROTC programs. So one of the things I forgot to say is that if the Service Academy's nomination doesn't work out for you, whichever traditional college you apply to, if you try to go through the ROTC program and get an ROTC scholarship, you might still get that full ride. And because you've already been vetted and you already have put that effort in with the academies, we've seen a really high success rate with those students trying to get those ROTC scholarships. Still graduate as a commissioned officer too. So sorry for that caveat, but we've also been trying to do events like this and just trying to get out to the high schools as well, talking to the counselors and talking to the ROTC instructors. But of course, we would love to do more, and I would love to do more things like this too.
Well, if we're talking about mitigating college debt, period, there's a host of programs, and Mr. Pearson has a long list of them. I do want to mention that Lieutenant Richard Collins, who was killed a week before his graduation at Bowie State in 2017, his family has a scholarship. I think they have two lines of funding. One is a state a scholarship program named after him, Richard Collins scholarship. It's up to $1 million annually, and that's available. And the University of Maryland has a scholarship in its name. The Richard Collins Scholarship is for all HBCUs in the state of Maryland, and I think one requirement is to be involved with ROTC, which he was. And I had invited his mother to be here today, but she was unavailable. But we'll get her next time. That's one thing. The other outlet, and I'm sure, again, Mr. Pearson has more knowledge, but one that came my way because we've been working with them for the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years, and that's NSA. Not only do they have a scholarship, but they have a program that's like a pipeline program that gives a high school senior a job. I think they work 20 hours a week. And then when they go to college, they have an internship for the 4 years that they're in college and college. And then they have an option of a job with the NSA when they come back. So they essentially leave school debt free, which accomplishes that goal. So you may know about others, Mr. Pearson.
No, what you just said is, I think, kind of embodies what we're trying to build as college parenting, what I call the village. Because there's so many resources out there, like no one person knows them all, right? But the scholarships that you just mentioned, they're vetted, obviously they're quality, they're real scholarships. You can put that, when you join College About Parenting and you have that type of information, you can put that into our village and share it with the parents. And so we have other parents like you doing that. Now we've just empowered a lot more students and parents with scholarship information. I would love to have Stephanie come on to our platform and do a lunch and learn with our parents and share this information. And that's how our students are able to find under scholarships because we share them with them, right? I mean, there are several families like me, like you, who are part of our community who share that type of information because no one person knows them all, right? And so that's exactly what one of the things that we try to do.
Well, thank you. One thing that we're going to do definitely is to try to be a source for this information so that everybody gets it. Based on what Stephanie has explained, we want every one of these congressional districts to have a committee. Or you use the term committee, or you use the word
Yeah, it's a selection board, and I believe all of the members in Maryland have a
They have
board.
boards.
I don't know all of the other states.
We want to make sure that the state of Maryland is covered. We certainly want to pipeline this so that students who are, I guess, in 10th grade, it sounds like they are aware and know about it. And, they're doing their requisite things to prepare for the application process. And with all of the details of this knowledge, because the knowledge about the prep school thing is significant, so nobody gives up on the process and does something else if they're really, really dedicated to being in the military. And ultimately, I mean, I'm just excited about having information so that there is an opportunity for somebody to be debt free and to have a job when they get out of school, and they don't have to use the grit that I wasted on all of that stress. So, so that's what we are. That's what I'm happy about. But in some way, I think that it's important on grassroots people to do these college fairs so that all of these details are there, because it's usually the case that college fairs are only colleges who are trying to get students. And I don't know if it's common, either of you can explain, is it common to have the scholarships as a key part of the whole college fair platform? Or is it the tradition that they just are there recruitment opportunities for colleges?
You're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take that one? You want me to take it?
You take it, Stephanie.
So the college fairs that I've been to, they have it as a component. So you have your college fair, and then there's usually a side room where they have like FAFSA workshops and things like that. I think there should be more, and to hear about what Mr. Pearson's doing is amazing. And I would love to partner with you and talk to the parents that you're working with, because it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I feel like everything I talked about with you was overwhelming, and I know this process inside and out. And so I think there definitely needs to be more of an effort. It's more of like, hey, if parents want to do a FAFSA workshop, you can come in here. I know I'm normally there with some of the academies. I have noticed that they've dropped off a little bit. The Naval Academy used to be in Charles County every year, and I didn't even see them there last year. And the state delegates normally come out. So your state delegates and your state senators, they've got money too, and they're underutilized. So whoever I know here in Charles County, we've got Senator Ellis, and I've asked them, sometimes they have money left over because
they do a good job of letting you know they have it.
Yes, but people need
it's available, but it's on the back end. So it's almost like they in some cases do it just for the inside.
I'll address that as well. At college fairs, one thing that I coach our families to do when they go to a college fair is ask a college about their scholarship, because colleges are the best. That's the best form of scholarship. Is that money that comes from the school? We call it merit aid, right? And so all colleges have some, give out scholarships in some form, and it's normally a formula based on your GPA, maybe based on your SAT score, or some type of merit. It can be your community service. All colleges have some form of merit aid that they give to every student. But you have to know about that merit aid too. And so, and sometimes it's not published. Sometimes it's not automatically given to you. You might have to apply for it. And so so you're at a college fair. You want to ask that rep, what type of merit aid do you have? What type of scholars programs do you have that may be a good fit for my student? Maybe they have a STEM scholars program with or they have a business and communications scholars program. Like for a good example is the Meyerhoff program at UNBC. That's a scholars STEM program at UNBC that provides scholarship money, right? Provides internships opportunities, and it provides ongoing mentorships all the way through college. And so those programs exist, at every college, right? And so you have to find out about those programs, and then you can prepare your child to compete for those programs, right? So it's all about the information, and and that's what we try to do is empower our parents with the information as early as possible, so then you can prepare and make more informed decisions, so that when your child is a senior, they can compete for those and they just have more options, because that's what we want, for them to have options. I would love for my child to have an option to go to the academies as well as Myra Hoffman. Like if that's there are two options at the end of their senior year,
the choice of two positives.
I've done my job, right?
Right.
Because as parents, we want to give our children roots and wings to fly. Their roots is their character and their education, but their wings is those opportunities where they can just go soar.
Right.
So, I'm passionate, so
but two bequeaths that we leave our children. One is roots and the other is wings. Hiding Carter.
Right.
So, but this is all about getting back to it. While the loan thing is important, to avoid it or to eliminate it, I think that one thing that I'm very passionate about is making sure that students, children, anybody feels like they can go to college. Like it's no barrier to them getting into college. And I think I come from a background where some people just hear about one challenge and they don't go down that road. And so I'm happy that you're both doing this work of putting it out there, because it increases the opportunity for someone to at least get the knowledge about it, so that they can at least go into the direction. And I think once people feel confident, do have that amount of confidence, that they'll continue on, whether they get what they want or not. Like one door opens, it shuts, you go to the other door, as opposed to not going to the door at all. So, and I hope that that's what is going on and happening now in our entire country, that people are not just saying, or listening to other people who talk about student loans, who talk about how hard, math is or algebra is, and they just, man up and go to school. Because I have my experience is that once you do take the step, help comes your way. That's the grand conspiracy, I guess, that the world contrives into your favor when you make that step. So that's what we have. So we're running down on time. I want to thank both of you, but we're going to close out with both of you. And I'm going to tease this so that we can close out. Tell us what book you're reading, so we can advance that. The passion for books is one thing that's great. So what books are you reading? The last book you read?
Right now I'm reading Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts by Sally Winston.
Uh-oh.
Well, I just finished reading Game of Thrones again, so I'm sorry that isn't more of an academic book, but they're big books.
Game of Thrones, that'll take you into another dimension. I think
I think
Game of Thrones is what triggered the January 6th assault on the Capitol.
No.
That's what it looked like.
They're very political books. They are.
Yeah. That's what that.
It can get really political.
Yeah.
And my daughter is named Liana after the books. So.
Is that right?
I'm a big fan of the show. But.
Oh, okay. Well, I watched the show. I didn't read the book, but you've inspired me to consider it. I've seen the book, but I hadn't read the book. It's very thick and it's very tough. So I want to thank both of you for coming on. Thank you for coming on How Goes the Hour, and we'll hopefully we can have you on again to talk about larger organizing that we can do together to expand what you both do and to explore how to make it better. Because this is a small platform, but we do want it to get out to all of our branches and make sure our branches of the NAACP are challenging the information, for example, about service academies and all the scholarships with all of the elected officials, so that this support that we need can make somebody's life better. So I want to thank both of you for doing your work. It's a valuable service to our state and to all the communities impacted. So thank you. Thank you. Now,
Thank
next
you.
week, we're going to have State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby on. So we're going to have a good conversation with her about her life, how she got started in service and everything. She's a proud graduate of Tuskegee University. So we look forward to that conversation. So we ask everybody to check us out next week, How Goes the Hour, at 1 o'clock on Friday. So thank you both and have a good weekend. Take care. Enjoy the spring. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.